Hey Cancer, welcome to your yearly 2021 Sidereal Astrology forecast. All right, so a lot to talk about for this year. We do have a lot of shifts and changes with the outer planets and a very important aspect, Saturn squaring up to Uranus. So we're going to take a look at the year in terms of what are the most important areas, I think, of development, what will likely be the major themes, and more importantly, how to work with these areas in constructive and healthy ways. All right, and again, we are using true Sidereal here, so if you are new to this form of astrology, please keep in mind that the signs are different in this system from mainstream astrology. And so down below are the sun sign dates for your true sidereal sun sign. You definitely want to check that out. Make sure you're watching the right video. And if you do want to watch for your moon and ascendant, that's also very helpful. I do recommend watching all three to give you a more personalized reading. So down below there is a birth chart calculator if you don't know your sidereal ascendant and moon signs, so that you can watch all three if you would like. All right, so Cancer, the major theme here is that before 2021, coming into the new year, we do have a lot of shifts going into your relationship sector. Saturn and Jupiter next to each other going into this area. So Saturn, the planet of developments and starting to take the area quite seriously, quite grounded, I think is going to be fantastic. Some of you taking those relationships seriously, maybe building some long-term relationships over these next couple of years. But Jupiter is really starting to expand this area as well. So I think there'll be opportunities throughout the year in terms of new connections, or at least at the very least, changing your perception about relationships and seeing some potentials there that can, again, help you build and ground this area with Saturn. So all in all, very constructive year there, involving all things one-on-one. Also good for one-on-one stuff in your professional life. Also in your working career, probably starting to notice a little bit more recognition for your hard work and achievements now, because you've been doing a lot of personal development these past 14 years. And so now things definitely shift into the outer development sense. And in this case, it starts with building relationships. Now, January 10th, we do have Mars coming out of Pisces, where it created a lot of uncertainty for the second half of 2020, collectively speaking. And he goes into your career and productive sector, which I think is going to be another very important year for you here. So probably lots of motivation and drive from January 10th for about a month and a half to pursue your career accomplishments, your productive life. And this is really in the context of, I think, finding more freedom with it, because I think the past couple years it's been really good to maybe mix up your work and career life a little bit, try new and different things, experiment with it, and it's still a great year to do that. And we'll come back to this because it's a very important area. Now, on January 13th, we do have a new moon conjunct Pluto. So while you've probably been doing a lot of maybe personal development work, such as through your routine or your day-to-day work or that day-to-day grind, been really emphasized these past couple years. There's a nice step in the right direction here, January 13th, where I think you'll notice that a lot of the hard work has been done in regards to your day-to-day life, maybe your routine, maybe your work, maybe your health, whatever you've been doing on that day-to-day. So Saturn leaving definitely eases up any limitations there, but a new beginning with your work or your routine life, or maybe your health, with the new moon on January 13th, helping you feel quite empowered and transformed in a sense with that. Now, January 17th, Jupiter will be squaring up to Uranus, and this is really the hallmark of the year because Saturn will be squaring Uranus for the whole year. And so from January 17th, it starts with Jupiter, and then from February 17th all the way through December 24th with Saturn. So the square is all about integrating two very different parts of our life, and sometimes the challenge to do so. And the two different areas are the areas we've talked about. It's relationships and career. With both of these areas being so highly emphasized, it is challenging to do both, right? So it's a great year for establishing your personal and professional relationships, like we were saying, but also to continue to experiment with new and different career accomplishment stuff, right? New different ways of mixing up your career, trying different things, having more freedom in your career, and also seeing how your career can reflect more of your true self, right? I think that's really a major emphasis. So anything that unites these two, I think, is great. Your relationships and your productive life and your work, anything that can combine those two, your relationship needs, your personal relationships, integrating those into your career, and vice versa, your career goals and all that, finding the balance there with your relationship life, I think is a great way of working with the year. And probably the most constructive way of doing this is building relationships professionally that are going to be in some way assisting or developing your career and your productive life, or your accomplishments in general. January 21st through February 14th, so that's really going to be emphasizing the relationship area. Do be flexible during this time, especially between January 29th to February 21st, because Mercury will be retrograde in the relating area. So it's good to just experiment during this time. There's definitely new developments starting these first couple months of the year, but with Mercury retrograde, there might be some ideas changing, your thoughts changing, your perspective changing about relationships. And so it's just good to be as flexible as possible throughout that time there. Then late February going into March, Neptune is going to change houses for you, coming out of the deeper sector, where I think over the past 10 years, a lot of you have probably been turning more inward for things like healing, maybe spiritual transformation, deep diving, getting into your deeper values. And in a sense, it's kind of like the inner work is not done, but it's like things just kind of lift there. It's like you kind of see that everything ended up working out in a way that kind of led you to feeling more healed, more empowered, more free in that sense, right? Because there's been a lot of inward work in regards to the deeper area with Neptune here. And once he leaves, it's like the fog lifts, things kind of make sense. And in a sense, it's kind of a coming to fruition, a sort of culmination of a lot of the inner work regarding matters of life and death, healing, trauma, deeper work, spiritual healing, all this kind of stuff that's been the major theme. So Neptune will go into your 9th house from March onwards, especially after the new moon, which will be on March 13th. And this is going to be about these next many years, about finding some flow with maybe travel for some of you, expanding your horizons. So there might be a dream or ideal about maybe travel or adventure. It's good to follow those dreams and ideals, but at the same time, do see that there is this ebb and flow. There is this the best way of working with this is the willingness to go with the flow and willingness to work with uncertainty and to trust your intuition and your deeper, soul guidance when it comes to expanding your horizons. But more fundamentally, the 9th house where Neptune's going is about expanding your mental horizons. So a lot of you might start to get into some spiritual philosophies or new outlooks on life that are more about peace, more about the deeper meaning behind things. And so that's good as well. And so I think anything that involves expanding your mind as well as your literal horizons in a way that's spiritually guiding you, I think is fantastic throughout this time period, for these next many years. April 18th, Jupiter will then go into the deeper sector. So like I said, there's still things and there's work down the line, still to do with healing and inner work once Saturn goes in there as well. But Jupiter has this very kind of benefic kind of energy. It's, I think, from mid-April onwards, especially up until about August 29th, you probably start to see the higher perspective about deeper things in life. You start to have that lighter, more jovial view of maybe life and death, deeper values, maybe learning a lot about healing and transformation, but in such a way that you're able to see that top-down perspective. Now, in your relationships, this can expand things like trust and intimacy. I think since it's such a good time of development in your relationships, the question is how can you incorporate some of that depth and vulnerability and trust that Jupiter is going to help you learn a lot about in the 8th house. And sometimes even financially, this can be quite abundant as well. Any types of resources that are especially shared resources in some way or involve some other entity or something like this, it could be some abundance there. Some expansion financially is certainly possible for many of you. Now, April 21st to May 11th, that'll be a really good time of career development. Again, in the experimentation context of trying new things and having more freedom in your work, as we were talking about. May 26th and June 10th are the eclipses. And for you, this is pretty much the whole year, but especially this June and May time, about finding this balance between really doing what you love and expressing yourself. I think it's a great time of this, expressing yourself, however you might do that, and finding the outlet in terms of maybe collective matters. It's such a good year for exploring new things involving friends, groups, community, also maybe online stuff, anything that's about something greater than yourself, some future vision that you can express yourself with, have some fun with, get into some of that creative energy with. So those eclipses, June 10th, May 30th, will certainly help you do that. June 14th, things make a little bit more sense in regards to what you are balancing here regarding relationships and career, and again, how to unite those two. And then August 29th, Jupiter will come back into the relationship sector, between August 29th and December 7th, helping you see different perspectives about relationships again, very much like we saw in the first few months of the year. So maybe some opportunities coming in there through relationships, about relationships, but your perception about them's changing. And then with that, Saturn's helping you ground and develop that area all year and even into 2022. Now, November 19th and December 4th are the next set of eclipses, again, helping you find balance between you expressing yourself and you contributing, friends, community, things like this. And December 7th, Jupiter will come back into the deeper area, helping you again see the lighter side of those things, and maybe again some things expanding regarding resources or abundance, especially shared stuff. And December 19th, Venus will be going retrograde. So nothing major with this one, but in the 6th house of work is just kind of a reminder that as you have done a lot of work with your routines and your habits, like I said, these past 2 years, just a good time to kind of redo some things there. Maybe redo the routine, maybe the work, the day-to-day health, kind of give some flexibility there going into the new year of 2022. And then the last contact with Saturn and Uranus will be December 24th, likely culminating into some sort of development where, although you'll still be pursuing career freedom and changes there, and your relationships, something there that's united the two, or perhaps is in a way integrated both areas, culminates at the end of the year with that one. All right, so Cancer, have a fantastic 2021. Thank you so much for watching. Down below is a discount on personal readings. You know, these videos are for very collective, very general readings. So if you do want a specific look at 2021, definitely check out that 20% discount down below. But I wish you all a fantastic year. Thank you again for all of your support, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.